guys. How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. I am so sorry for the random lives and taking lives down when I was supposed to go live last night after Melissa, and I was watching her and I kept falling asleep, had to close the chat out because I was afraid I was going to remove someone. So I removed the live that was supposed to happen last night. So I apologize, but I missed you guys and a lot has happened. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if my channel, like I know many of you guys are not being notified. I got several emails the other day about things I had already talked about. And I don't know. I know that I need to be going live more, and I promise I'm going to try to make that happen. I have not been doing my best. I've been slacking a little bit. There's so much other stuff that's always going on, right, in all of our lives. So I apologize, but I'm happy to be here today. Good to see you guys. I want to talk about a bunch of stuff. So I want to talk about the Idaho for the 911 call. I also want to talk about the video that was released from Delphi. I've got a few other cases that, one we've talked about before. I don't know if you guys will remember it. You might recognize the photos in a true crime news live, and then a couple that are more unknown. But I think we'll start with the Idaho 4 and the Delphi stuff and then make our way into that. So, hey, Julie with no E. Hey, Nate. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Carolyn Cooper. Hey, K-Wags. Hey, Laura Lou. Pointer Lover. Bushi, the strong storms have just started moving into my area. Oh, I'm sorry, Bushi. Well, hopefully I can help take your mind off of it. Hey, Teacup, Boho, Punksy, anybody that I missed. Hey, Wicked West, good to see you. Hey, Cutie Pie, missed you too. It's been a minute. Hey, Midnight Mystic, Nurse Kristen. Sometimes I think I don't want to keep you guys waiting and go through and say hello. I used to always say hello at the beginning. Yeah, and I miss you guys. So thank you for being here. I'm happy to see you guys. All right, so let's start with, I think we'll start with Idaho. If you have not been following on Melissa Jade's channel, she has been covering this with Shay. We're going to be over there tonight with more Casey Anthony stuff. But they've just done a great job covering this. I want to just talk about it right now, just the call and the text messages. Not as in-depth. So if you're looking for that in-depth coverage, go over there. I've been following it and I'll be talking about it until the end. But I think that they've done a great job. And I just want to talk about this part. Maybe not as, like I said, in detail, in-depth, whatever. So, oh yeah, my Nightbot doesn't work. Hey, Shar. Hey, Tess. Neat, will you do me a favor and get Melissa's link, because it's not the Nightbot isn't dropping it. And thank you. Plus tonight we're going to be over on her channel talking about Casey Anthony. So just a couple things before we get into this. The court document we're about to look at is over on my Patreon on the free tier. You just have to be a member, a free member, to see all kinds of different court documents and things like that. If we're looking at it over here on the channel, I usually try to upload it over there on the free tier. If you ever win a gifted membership, you'll have to cancel. Otherwise, you can be on the free tier for as long as you want. There's chats and different things like that. And one live a month out for it goes to everyone. That being said, and then about tonight with the Casey Anthony thing, I was wondering, there's this show called Cellmate Secrets that I'm wanting to watch. So it's about Casey Anthony, the first episode. And I thought maybe we could watch it in there, like a watch party. I'll just pull it up and we'll chat in the chat. I think that's how I'll do that. I'd like to start doing that more, just to kind of hang out and spend time together or whatever with you guys, be with you guys over in the Patreon. So, okay. Now, this court document came out, and I believe this is kind of what pushed the call to being put out. There's all kinds of different motions and different things going on. Like I said, Melissa is covering that more in depth. But this is when the 911 transcript and the text message transcripts were put out. So let me show you. Because Anne is trying to have them removed. she wants everything thrown out. She's trying to do her job, but regardless, that's what's happening. So Hunter located the unresponsive body, now not Ethan's brother Hunter, but a friend of theirs, of Xana, and informed Bethany and Dylan to call 911. Emily, Hunter's girlfriend, was present at the time. All declarants personally perceived the event. The majority of the declarants were describing to dispatcher Carolina Calvin what they were perceiving. Those statements relate to Kernodle being passed out and not waking up. And that brings me to your comment, K-Wags. I haven't heard the call, and I'm nervous about it because I used to be a dispatcher. I'm glad to listen to it here with y'all. If you haven't heard it, it is hard to listen to. Not only the call, but the video from Delphi, both of them. For me, they just did something to me emotionally is the best way I can describe that. So just be aware. Both are pretty intense. It goes on to say some declarations were considered as excited utterances. Those statements include, oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah, as well as the heavy breathing and crying that can be heard throughout the call. It goes on to say that they talk about why Kernodle might be passed out. All statements are made while the declarants are processing what is happening and were made before an opportunity to reflect and fabricate why Kernodle is unconscious. Clearly, the statements of Bethany, Dylan, Emily, and Hunter, and the dispatcher, Carolina, fall within the hearsay rule exceptions. Judge John Judge has already ruled that the 911 call is not hearsay, and even if deemed hearsay, the exceptions for present sense impression and excited utterance apply. So on August the 23rd, 2023, defendant moved to dismiss the grand jury indictment. One basis for that motion was that the 911 call was improperly admitted hearsay, cumulative, irrelevant, and an improper attempt to bolster witness testimony. I understand she's trying to do her job, but it's really frustrating. The 911 call is obviously relevant and should be played, whatever. I've been watching trials for a while now with you guys for at least the last few years, and you always see the defense attorneys trying to get different things trying to have different things thrown out where they can't be submitted and shown to a jury. She is like super intense with it, though. I feel like she's going like further than most that I've seen. So they're arguing why it shouldn't be thrown out and why the 911 call is admissible. All of this, like I said, is on the Patreon. I'm not going to read it word for word, but I want to scroll down to here. This is where the transcript came out of the 911 call. Because of this, I believe that this is the reason why it was ultimately released. In the transcript, you actually don't hear everything that they're saying on the call, but I wanted to have it up while we're listening. Well, shoot, how can I do that? Let me see. I have an idea. So hopefully we can listen and see that at the same time, but you guys can let me know if you can't hear it. So let me just come over here. I'm going to go to Amber's channel. I know Melissa and Amber both posted it, but I think she enhanced it here. So we'll go here, and I'm just going to play for a second.
11.
Tess, will you do me a favor and get Amber's link, pretty please? You guys check out my friend Amber's channel. She has a lot of different content, live streams, pre-records, documentaries, all kinds of stuff, all true crime. So now that has played for a second, if I have it here, let me know if you guys can hear this. I'll just play like 5 seconds. Okay, can you guys hear that? Hey, Sarah. Hey, Amber. Jamie. Good to see you guys. Hey, Becky. Thank you, Neat. Thank you, Tess. Oh my gosh, you guys, the weather has been so nice. Today it's like the air is on because it's hot. This is the second time so far this year it's gotten, hot inside and muggy. So could you hear that just now, you guys? I'm not seeing an answer. I'm thinking no, then. That's okay. We can flip back to it. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and listen to it. No, thank you. Hey, Remy. Thank you, by the way, for answering. What made them finally release the 911 call after all this time? So in emotion, Anne was trying to have it thrown out. And while the prosecutors are fighting for that to not happen, they put the transcript out. And I think that's why it was ultimately released. Okay, you guys. I hate to give trigger warnings. I've told you it feels kind of silly. This is true crime. It's tough stuff to talk about. Everything we talk about today is going to be tough stuff to talk about. And there's a lot of it. So I will just go ahead and warn you guys. If you don't want to listen, you might want to go now. Okay.
11:55 a.m. 42 seconds, November 13, 2022.
911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
Okay, so there we're hearing something in the background. I can't actually make out what they're saying, but I want to pause here for a second and come back to the transcript. We have something has happened. Something happened in our house. We don't know what. What is the address? 1122. No, don't. What is the rest of the address? They're all, you can see they're not finishing their sentences. They're all upset. To me, it sounds like what you would expect. It's heartbreaking to hear these girls like this. I'm really disappointed because I understand having questions. I have questions too. I have friends who have questions, but there's a difference in having questions and flat out accusing, blaming, and some of the other really hateful, awful things I've seen be said about these girls. At the end of the day, 4 of their friends' lives were taken, and it could have been them. They were there. I mean, I can't imagine how that must feel. You guys all know we all have lost people that we love. Death is one of the hardest things to deal with as a human being, much less when someone doesn't just pass away, their life is taken. And then it's not just one, it's multiple. So I have a lot of sympathy for them, and I have a lot of grace. I know it took a long time between these text messages that happened between Dylan and Bethany. We actually should have started there because they were texting the night before when Dylan saw Brian. There was several hours in between that and the phone call. I think that we have to wait for trial and wait to hear more. I just don't think it's appropriate at all to attack these girls, say that they were involved. Idaho 4 taught me a huge lesson. I'll never forget, before Brian was arrested, a lot of people thought that hoodie guy in the video could be the one who took all of their lives. And they hunted down his mother's Facebook, and they put out pictures of him hunting. And, even Steve Gonsalves, I guess after seeing all the rumors, said on a news interview, one person is out of the country. And he had nothing to do with it. He was in that video trying to protect the girls and look out for them on their way home. So I don't know. I get really grossed out by that. So that's all I want to say. Keep the chat classy here in my chat. I don't care. Look, I understand that running with the conspiracies and being all crazy and attacking people, might even be what people for some reason, the places that do that. There's lots of people there and being part of that. I don't want to be part of that. I don't want my channel to be part of that. And I think most of you guys probably feel the same way I do. It's okay to have questions. We don't have all the answers. We're waiting for trial. There's a lot of questions, but flat out attacking and accusing, no. Even Jack, you're right, Jamie, or even Jack was blamed, and the family had to come out and say it was not him. I remember people, I was even like, this is why I say it taught me a lesson. I was so skeptical of Jack and Hoodie Guy. I was watching the videos that were showing Jack lives only right here and this, and that. And couldn't this be him because of that? Hoodie Guy's mom has this picture. He's hunting. Look in his hand. He's got a hunting knife. Oh my God. He's got a picture of the animal he killed. It was insane. None of them were involved, at least, as far as we know now. And that's messed up. These kids are already going through enough. So let me get off my high horse. We'll keep listening. I just wanted to say that, though, because that bothers the hell out of me. It's really hard to see some of the things that I'm seeing these days around the girls, the case in general. Okay. Wait, you guys might not be able to hear that because I didn't switch back over. I'm sorry. Here.
Okay.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat.
So that, is Emily. Remember, Hunter and Emily, they live next door. They're all friends. Jack Becky is Kaylee Gonsalva's boyfriend.
The address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up.
Now, remember, you can hear, first of all, just Dylan in the background crying. It's so sad. Remember when we first heard about the call, we heard something about someone was passed out. And I remember thinking that maybe one of the girls that found them passed out. It appears that Xana was that person. And Net Sleuth Booth says the only thing that confuses me is there's no mention of blood anywhere in this call. I don't know that they saw it. So I think that's why we hear she's passed out. I don't know that they saw the blood yet. Then Net Sleuth says, did they just assume Xana was not breathing or did they actually see her? Well, we know that they knew she was not breathing. And I believe Hunter discovered that in this call. You're going to hear in a moment they ask, is she breathing? And he does a very firm and calm no. So, hey, 12 Gauge Investigative. This call leaves me with more questions than before. Really, Remy, interesting. How was there no mention of blood? They must have seen a lot of it. Yeah, like I said, I don't think that they saw it. I could be wrong, but I don't think that they went all the way in. And depending on how she was laying right there by the door, in front of the door, I just don't. Surely they would have mentioned it if there was, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait for trial. This is why. So it's really important if you're going to follow these cases, and especially when you're vocal on social media, giving opinions, we need to wait for trial. These are real people, and everything, all of this is going to greatly affect their lives, including the social media coverage of the crime and stuff and the trial.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Hi, I just...
Yes,
And are you
ma'am.
with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out.
So obviously the dispatcher needs to know about anything that's especially life-threatening if there's a chance to save someone's life. So she cuts her off. I wish we could have heard that continue. You know, hey, NorCal Jim.
Out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, Bethany, we gotta go check.
Come on, Bethany. We've got to go check.
But we have to.
So I want to pause there for a moment because I think this is important. Come on, Bethany. We have to go check. And then you don't hear anything. And then you hear, but we have to. Well, it seems like Bethany didn't want to. They were scared. So we wonder, why didn't they go upstairs before this? Why didn't they call sooner? They were scared. And I think that's why. And I think once other people were there, they felt a little bit more comfortable, you know? I mean, we hear that right there. Come on, Bethany, we have to go upstairs. But we have to.
Right now, if someone is passed out, can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, Bethany, we gotta go check. But we have to.
She said, is she passed out? And I can't hear what's in the background. I can hear this so much better than on the phone listening. And then he said, Xana, Ethan. I rewound it 10 seconds. I'm going to try boosting the sound. It will make it a little more staticky, but maybe you guys will hear the background too. So to me, it sounds like if they couldn't get in the room, they could see someone is down. They're yelling, wake up, because they can't shake them or touch them for some reason. It seems like they can't get in the room. You know, that's what I think is happening here. You would not, even if you're in college, you know, you're partying, especially if you live in the party house, you see somebody in your house in the middle of the night. And certainly if you see them with a vacuum and a firefighter costume or something, you're probably not going to expect that someone could be murdered. You know, I just don't see that. I don't know why they're scared. I think that we have to wait for trial to hear from them what was going on in their heads at the time, what happened just before this, just after, what happened on the phone call Dylan had with her dad just prior to this. We need to know so much more.
She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
She's not waking up, and then you heard Xana. Man, my heart breaks for these kids. I just, I'm torn. I'm torn to even talk about this anymore because of how hateful people have gotten towards them and the accusations. And it's just, I don't know. I understand having questions. Like I said, do not get me wrong. I do understand that because I have them too. But I don't know. It's not unlike other things that we've seen in other cases with victims, family members, that close circle, inner circle being attacked by social media. And I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
That is pure fear, terror, complete terror. The way that her breath is shaking. This is not something, in my opinion, that you can fake unless you're like in Hollywood and it's your profession. I just don't. too much. So then it sounds like Hunter went to check, like, and I think this is like the working theory Melissa has, which makes perfect sense to me. It sounds like they were waiting, and maybe he went upstairs to check on maybe Kaylee and Maddie. Because you hear the shaking breath, and then you hear him say, "Get out, get out, get out." That is her entire life changing forever. Yeah, absolutely. And then not only does she have to deal with do all of them, Hunter and Emily too have to deal, not only do they have to deal with the trauma from losing a friend, losing 4 friends, not just losing them, having them taken from you. And not just that, you find them. You have to see them that way. This is something that I guarantee you will never leave their minds. The pictures, the images they saw that day will never leave their minds. And that's just heartbreaking. And then Johnny, I was saying, I don't believe that they could see in the room. So you're right. There would be a lot of blood from the room. Remember, it was coming from the house on that back side. I don't know. And I don't really want to guess any more than like what we're discussing now. I think we just have to wait for trial. That's the thing with, if you really want to seriously, if you care about a case that you're following and you're watching all the updates in real time, and it means any damn thing to you at all, the truth, the facts will not be out until the trial happens, not all of them. And you really have to wait until that happens. You should follow it all the way through, because a lot of the things that you hear in the beginning are just simply not true. Now, unless it comes from like this comes from the docket, but I don't know. Let me get off my high horse. It upsets me, like, seeing everything that's being said. I can't imagine seeing that at 20 years old. Me either. I remember, like, I was talking about this earlier with a friend. I remember being in college, and I lived in the dorms, like right next to this big party house. It was just like this pretty much. I mean, we walked in groups of tons of us over to this 3-story party house, and this house would get so full. You would be straight up shoulder to shoulder out there dancing, like just having a blast. There were so many people in there. I guarantee you DNA was everywhere. All kinds of strange people, maybe people that had only been there once, that didn't even know the people who lived there. Honestly, I can only tell you one person that lived over in that big house, and he didn't even live there the whole time. So we were all going to this party house to party in college and didn't even know, the people that lived there, like the students that stayed there. So you factor that in with all the DNA in the house that starts all these conspiracies and all the social media stuff. You factor in their age, that they were under the influence. There is so much to this. I'm going to wait for a trial. I'm very much looking forward to it. I want to know every single detail. That's the way that my brain works. Like, I need to know it all, but we won't know until then. Plus, I also believe that Xana's room slants a bit since it's on a slope and the blood ran the opposite way and not outside her door. Yeah, I think that you're probably right, Jamie. The prosecution has no new evidence in 3 years. It's pathetic. Angel, we don't know what they have. They're not telling us. They wait for trial. Like, that's what the trial is for, though. Like, I told Melissa one night, the other night, I had to shut the chat, like, and not, because this is a tough one to discuss and for me. So But we don't know what they have. They don't tell you what they have before trial. They don't put it out in the public. Now, just from other cases I've followed, I've heard some people say that there won't be more than what's in the probable cause affidavit, but I've followed several that there was a lot more. I think that we don't know what they have. They've got all kinds of different searches, search warrants back as far as electronics and things like that go that hadn't been back before the probable cause affidavit was written. I think there's a lot more to it than we know, and we have to wait and see. But I lived on Sorority Row and we partied all the time. We lived in houses or apartments and everyone was everywhere. I cannot imagine the mixed DNA. Agree. Hey, Gidget. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. She says, glad you're covering this. You come at a very grounded mindset, and I appreciate that so much. Oh, thank you. Dylan evidently had a history of her own trauma and lucid dreams. I think she and Bethany had convinced themselves it was all a dream. After all, Xana had been wearing all black. Yes, I agree. Now, is that going to cause problems down the line, like when the trial is being put on? Possibly. I don't know. I think sometimes we think all these things are going to mean something at the trial, and a lot of times they don't. They might be smaller than we think, so maybe it won't cause any problems. But I definitely had heard that as well, Jamie. Thank you, Dana. Good to see you. The PCA was already deemed unnecessary, according to Bill Thompson. Huh? Unnecessary? What? You could say the defense has no actual defense. They just look for loopholes and mistakes. If BK was so innocent, why not just prove that instead? Yeah, instead of trying to have every single piece of evidence thrown out, literally pretty much everything, which, like I said, some of that is pretty standard, but they're taking it next level. And he was out driving, stargazing. No. Thanks, 12 gauge. That's interesting because Remy said earlier the call brought more questions to her, and Thistle says the call just makes it make more sense. They have evidence. If they didn't, Ann Taylor would not be trying to get stuff thrown out. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing some of those search warrants that what comes back from. I know Melissa was talking about Amazon. One with Amazon, which I would like to see. It definitely should have cleared up rumors. Instead, more are arising. Yep. Hey, Ava. After trace DNA, they have nothing. What do you mean? How do you know what they have? We just simply don't know. We know they have DNA. We know on the sheath. We don't know. Technically, he could have bought the knife on Amazon and that could come back. We just don't know. Until the trial happens, after that, then you can comment on the case if it was strong or not. But at this point, it just doesn't make sense to do that. People who lack compassion for the survivors of this massacre leave me questioning humanity more than anomalies like BK. Zoe, me too. Me too. Natasha, the fact that people find it ridiculous to wait until trial proves your point, Allie. Some people don't care about the facts. Once they have their minds made up based off of unproven theories, it's done. It's really sad, Natasha. It is, because we're talking about something very serious on all ends, right? You're talking about Brian, his life, and the lives of the 4 victims. Why wouldn't you want to wait until trial to make your mind up and look at all the evidence, every single thing they have, every single piece? Hey, by the way, Dorothy says, I think both girls passed out and slept for 5 or 6 hours before waking up still in the nightmare. They had been drinking all night and just eventually passed out. I agree. All right, let's keep listening. I'll keep looking at your comments. I like to see what you guys are saying, but I know I've had it paused for a while and just been talking, so let's keep going.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20. Here's one.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Okay, now listen. I know she's trying to do her job, right? She has to get the information quickly. It's important. It is literally life and death important. So I understand that. In my opinion, don't mean shit. Who am I? But like, lady, come on. Your tone, you're rude. Like, I feel like this all the time with 911 calls, though. I'm like, these people are going through trauma. Stop being rude. They obviously need to be matter of a fact, very serious, take their feelings out of it because it is so important. It could be someone's life on the line, but it's pretty hard to hear when when you just think about what they must be going through. And of course they're passing the phone around. There's many of them there. Not all of them are going to look together. It seems like he's going to look and reporting back. I don't know. It's hard to hear, but it makes sense why she's being that way.
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
Well, that.
You need to talk to them, say. I can't talk to them. They need you to talk to them.
Hello.
Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again? There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I think yes. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, we have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
11:50.
Oh my God. And look, I don't care about the people coming in here getting mad. I will never run with just conspiracy theories and bullshit. And I'll always wait for the trial and wait for the information to come out. That's just that. So just might not be the channel for everybody. That's okay. Okay. So let's come back over here. I want to go to, wait. Hold on. I mean, we also saw their text. That's what I was going to. I thought that I had them right here. Hold on. To me, it makes perfect sense. I don't believe there's any kind of crazy conspiracy the judges are in on, the town drug dealer, the tunnels. I mean, I think that's fucking ridiculous. And anybody who's actually used to true crime and has like few brain cells in their head can understand that a lot of those are just ridiculous and it's bullshit. So, all right, let's see. I'll just pull up the news regarding the text, and then we're going to talk about Delphi and then a bunch of other things that are unrelated to any of this. Okay, so from 4:22 a.m. to 4:24, Dylan and Bethany send the following messages. And we actually have right before that, if I remember correctly, she tries to call. Please go over and check out Melissa Jade, who went through this with a fine-tooth comb. But I remember from her live that she tries to call them all and they don't answer. And it appears that you're not seeing everything. There may have been a call back or something like that. But these texts start to go out at 4:22. So we see Dylan telling Bethany, no one is answering. So that's why, now there could be text before this that we don't see. It doesn't necessarily have to be a call. They don't put everything in here. They only put what they need to, period. So something happens where Dylan, it seems like they already kind of have an understanding that she's trying to get a hold of everyone. No one is answering. I'm really confused right now. Dylan to Bethany. Now, because this is the annoying part, because they don't, some things are most likely missing. That gives people all kinds of room to run and make up bullshit with. But I'm not going to do that. That's just that. We don't know until we see it all in full with the discovery. Even maybe after the trial, you can request a lot of this stuff and go through it and have a way better understanding of what's going on than just making up a bunch of shit that might sound good or get people to click on or whatever, because that's what's happening all over, even Facebook. It's insane. But okay, so then Dylan texts Kaylee, and then another one, what's going on? Bethany responds to Dylan, yeah, dude, what the fuck? Bethany to Dylan, Xana was wearing all black. So it seems like Dylan told Bethany, something about, to me, because Dylan goes on to correct her. I'm freaking out right now. No, it's like a ski mask almost. So it's like she's trying to let her know, hey, it's probably Xana. She was wearing all black. No, it's like a ski mask almost, Dylan says. Bethany to Dylan, shut the fuck up. Actually? Like, what? Dylan, like he had something, and you can see she's got a lot of typos, which makes you think even more that she's probably intoxicated. Like he had something over his forehead and little in mouth. Then she says, Bethany, I'm not kidding. I am so freaked out. Again, more mistakes, which I can attribute that to a couple things and being intoxicated or just being so upset and freaked out. You're typing so fast. You're just not doing a good job. Sure. Oh my gosh. Thank you for being a member for 43 months. Holy cow. Show your support to the channel and hit that like. Thank you, Shar. So then, I'm so freaked out. Bethany, so am I. Dylan to Bethany, my phone is going to die. Fuck, I think, or something like that. Bethany says, come to my room. Run down here. So, to me, this just even more shows that it wasn't that these two girls are innocent victims in this. Honestly, I do believe that. I really do. And that's what makes it hard to discuss. I probably was all over the place talking in circles and stuff, but it's crazy because you don't even want to go in and look at chats, even in channels where they don't, run with any kind of conspiracy theories and stuff like that. It's like people act like these aren't real fucking people. It's so gross. Not only were the 4 victims people, but also the surviving victims, all of their families. I mean, damn, man. Act like this is something that matters. Like it's important. I don't know. I'm just sick of it. Sorry, I'm annoyed and turned off with the bullshit in true crime. I like to talk about true crime. I think it's important. We need to know what the hell's going on in this world. We do. Not put our head in the sand and just not know about shit because it's uncomfortable or it's a tough conversation. We should talk about it. But stuff like that makes it really hard because, I don't know, it just does. Pointer Lover, thank you for being a member for 37 months. Oh my goodness, you guys. Thank you. 3 and 4 years, or almost. Okay. So now I guess let's get into Delphi because I have a lot of other things I want to talk about. I feel News Nation really had a negative impact with the amount of coverage. NorCal Jim, do you remember? I mean, I understand why they, of course you remember because of your comment, but I understand why they covered it so much at first. When all the information was coming out, things were breaking. They kept on and on and on. And some of this shit was bullshit. Like some of the stuff was not true. Excuse my language. Yes, everyone stay safe in the tornadoes. Net Sleuth Booth, I have not heard that. Is it true that Bethany saw someone changing outside? I have not heard that. Hey, LG. Nothing but just innocent victims, all these kids. I was also wondering if this derailed their graduating from college too. Okay, so like I said, we're going to get into Delphi. Delphi is one I am so overwhelmed by. I don't know what to think, but I guess that's considered doubt. I don't know. I'm still just listening to everything on that one. Me too. I'm kind of, it sucks because there's nothing we can do. I'm a little bit disappointed. I wish the judge would have allowed more in to make it fair or more fair. I don't know, but this video was finally released. And remember, we had heard so much about this video. There was, that all this was taken out and you could hear a gun cock and different things like that. I don't hear that, but I am curious what you guys hear. We won't stay here too long because there's a few other things that I want to talk about that you probably cases you guys don't recognize. I don't know though. We'll have to see. So...
Indiana, we're now seeing the chilling video recorded by Libby of the final moments with their killer. Key evidence police say helped them capture and convict Richard Allen. Until now, the public had only seen this snippet and heard the murderer's voice.
Okay, I just want to say, I was really surprised the way that sounded in the video, almost exactly like the snippet we heard. There wasn't anything missing or in between. Come over here. Not that I could hear, but maybe you guys can hear something I can't. And I'm curious. Let me know as we watch. Do you feel like you can feel their nervousness? In the beginning, you'll hear like some whispering. To me, I hear, "Is he behind me?" And yes. Let me know if you think I'm wrong on that. I could be, but I also feel like I can just feel the nervousness. Now, is this something that, because I know what happened? I don't know. I believe you. I can just feel it, but I could be wrong. So I want to know what you guys think. What was that? It said "Justice for Rick Allen" at the top. This is from the New York Post. I just, like, it was just the first one that popped up. So, okay. Oh my gosh. Can't get over how close he is. I talked over her whisper, though, I think. So let's...
See, this is the path that we go down.
You cannot hear it that well in that one. I want to find another one. Let me see. Hold on, let's try this one now.
13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German in Delphi, Indiana, we're now seeing the chilling video recorded by Libby of the final moments with their killer. Key evidence police say helped them capture and convict Richard Allen.
I don't know. I guess unless like the voice, because I didn't see the trial and hear it. So why did that help convict him? Because were they able to compare the voice in trial? I mean, I don't know. You can't see him. Okay. Anyways, I'm not sure. To me personally, I worry that they may not have the right guy, but I don't know. So NorCal Jim says, as a man, I would never walk that close to a female in such a confined space out of respect. See, I appreciate that because that is creepy. Harlot says, I couldn't believe how close he is to them either. The people who saw it in trial made it sound like he was way off in the distance. Yeah, I couldn't believe how close either. Right behind him. And I remember that. Hey, Selena, now that you say that, they were saying like you could barely see him in it. He was like, it was, or something, right? Like it was way back there and it was zoomed in, the picture that was put out of him. Well, yeah, it probably was zoomed in, but he definitely wasn't way back there. You could see him.
Until now, the public had only seen this snippet and heard the murderer's voice. But this 43-second clip played at trial and just released on a website that's a...
Look at that. He's literally, I mean, I don't know how big these are, but way too close. Way too close. In trial, they should have played it more than once. I wish they would have streamed it or at least recorded it. It also doesn't show Bridge Guy to be very tall. They didn't do a voice analysis. Okay, so yeah, how would that lead to him? You know, you can't see his face. And I slowed it down in CapCut and zoomed in super close just to look at his hands and stuff because there's something in his pocket and you can't see the face at all. Yes, the whisper at the beginning was Abby asking if he was still behind me. And she says yes. Let's see if in this one we can hear it.
Support Allen reveals the growing panic as Abby asks her best friend if the man following them is still there. You can hear...
Is he right there? They said. Here, hold on. I'm going to turn this up a little bit with the booster.
Released on a website that supports Allen reveals the growing panic as Abby asks her best friend if the man following them is still there. You can hear nervous whispering as Libby steps off the trail.
See, this is the path that we go down.
Abby is...
Now, just to pause there, she says, this is the path that we go down. Do you guys think this was her filming to put on like Snapchat or somewhere, send to someone? Or do you think this is just nervousness, like what she's saying, and trying to kind of blend in and not stand out that she's filming him, maybe to make it look like she's just vlogging or something like that? I'm so curious because to me, I felt like it was just nervous kind of babbling to look like you're doing something else and you're not paying attention to him when you're obviously like, dude, this creep is right behind you. Yes, he is, you know, freaked out and paying attention. Does anyone else think it kind of sounds like they already knew to look for a path right after the bridge? It makes me wonder if the Anthony Shots account was meeting them, gave them directions. Let me hear that part again because she does talk about the path, but let's see.
You can hear nervous whispering as Libby steps off the trail.
See, this is the path that we go down.
Abby is rushing past Libby.
See, this is the path that we go down. Let's hear this. Hold on.
There's no path going there, so we have to go down here.
You hear heavy breathing and then footsteps before the voice of their killer.
Hi.
Abby and Libby.
My gosh, look at that bridge. Every time I see it, I'm shocked at how freaking high it is and the fact that they're all just walking across it like that. Like we had a bridge like this where I used to, when I was a kid, down where I used to hang out with my friends and stuff, there was like a watering hole, and it was maybe 10 feet high. And it was not, they're not that easy to walk across, you know? Hey now. My doggy's like, wait a minute, you don't go outside without me. But I have to when I'm on here because I can't watch him and do this. If you're ever that uncomfortable, call the police. Faking a video to not make him uncomfortable doesn't prevent anything. See, that's what I think, Gidget. I agree. Faking a video to make him not notice that you're noticing him. Hey, Rocco. She is detailing where she is at, in my opinion. She is not pointing it at her friend like I am watching my daughter do with her friend right now. Right. Like filming her to kind of film their experience or, you know, video journal what they're doing. Amber says, that's interesting. I think Keegan Klein was part of this somehow. I don't know. There's too much unknown for me. And with that, after that defense memorandum and looking into some of the claims there, then we hear about the Odinist at the jail. And this isn't just make-believe rumors on social media. We're talking about court filings, things that came out in the courts, them admitting that they stopped wearing their patches after the filing, just all of that stuff. Now, I know I missed a lot in between that, through the trial to now. I've been keeping up a little bit, but I've missed a ton. But since then, I've not been comfortable. Hey, crochet lover. I think it sounds like nervousness and wanting to seem like they were doing something else. I feel like we're still missing a lot of this, but it did change my opinion. Really, Natasha, what do you think? How did it change your opinion? There's so many questions that will never get answered. That's like one of the hardest parts for, like, when there's a case that just grabs your heart and soul in a way where, like, you know, like certain cases do. I can't even put it into words how it happens. But it's one of the hardest parts about that, and becoming invested is a way to say it, and wanting to know all the details and the outcome and wanting justice and caring about this situation. The hardest part for us as viewers, because obviously the people going through it have a lot of hard things they're going through. But one of the hardest parts for us is not ever knowing some of these unanswered questions that don't even come out in the trial. There are, in every case, things like that. I think that we go down was what people were saying, that be a gun. I agree with you, Harlot.
You were ordered down that hill, police say, at gunpoint. Abby is seen whispering as Libby steps off the trail.
See, this is the path that we go down.
Abby is seen rushing past
that we go down.
Libby.
Yep. Maybe that is what people were thinking was the gun thing, but they all wasn't that, you know, it was also said you could hear a gun cock. Maybe the grapple. I don't know.
Go in there, so we have to go down here.
You hear heavy breathing and then footsteps before the voice of their killer.
Hi.
Abby and
Guys, down the hill. Julie says, I did a quick math. There are about 14 to 15 railroad ties between them and a gap. So my best math is about guessing 16 to 17 feet away. Someone in another chat that lives there said a path does exist and a street was almost visible. Can't confirm. I remember looking at the maps of the area and like how Ron Logan's property is right there. There's a creek. And maybe there's like a dirt road up to Lon Rogan's. Ron Logan's house. Any creepo nearby, don't be ashamed to run away fast. Well, if they would have, I mean, I don't know. It's just so sad to think about. Is there another way they could have played this and actually gotten away? And, you know, I don't know. I don't know. If it, like, what makes somebody do something like this? What makes somebody determined to do something like this? And let's not be mistaken. This wasn't just there are other crimes that happen where you see the motive, like maybe someone who is attracted to kids hurts a kid and they get to fulfill their desires like a bunch of sick ass bastards do, because it happens all the time, more than we talk about. But this, like, it just makes, I just don't get it. I don't understand what they were, I don't know, the way that their bodies were posed and dressed, and one of them not dressed and the other one redressed in the other's clothes. There's too much unknown. Amber says it looks like Ron Logan too. So I think Michelle Walks, Michelle, what's her other one? Is it After Dark? She compared their voice like that to other voices. And I know that people have compared his size like to other people. Hey, Dororo. You'd rather die running away than die with a monster. Oh, I agree. They would have been okay with them calling for just something like that. But Gidget says, there's too much doubt for me on this to have been concluded as it has so far. Was there any DNA? I can't remember. No, I think there was a cat hair or something like that. I don't know either, because we were following other cases at the time. So unfortunately, I just didn't go as deep into this and all the details that came out. I saw this footage but never heard the audio of them speaking. Her instincts were right. Kimberly says, I believe down the hill was when a gun was pointed. I believe the firearm was what was in his pocket, in my opinion. I could see that because there's something big in there that looks awkward in the pocket. Do you know if it was a revolver or a semi-auto? I don't know. I think that they were saying I don't know. I envisioned a semi-automatic getting pulled back. But I don't know, actually. NorCal Jim. To me, it sounded like branches breaking where people said there was a gun being cocked. Here, I'll play it one more time, and then I want to talk about some other things. Let's play from the beginning, though. We'll let them walk us through it.
Tonight, 8 years after the murders of 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German in Delphi, Indiana, we're now seeing the chilling video recorded by Libby of the final moments with their killer. Key evidence police say helped them capture and convict Richard Allen. Until now, the public had only seen this snippet and heard the murderer's voice. But this 43-second clip, played at trial and just released on a website that supports Allen, reveals the growing panic as Abby asks her best friend if the man following them is still there. You can hear nervous whispering as Libby steps off the trail.
See, this is the path that we go down.
Abby is seen rushing past Libby.
There's no path going there, so we have to go down here.
You hear heavy breathing and then footsteps before the voice of their killer.
Hi.
I don't hear anything in between that, in between the guys and down the hill. So a couple things. Ava says Ron Logan got a call at 2:09. The 43-second video starts at 2:13. Is Ron Logan's house a 4-minute brisk walk from where Abby and Libby were? Most say more. Thank you, Ava. Well, for me, the part with him is the lying about his alibi. I do remember he did that. I don't know. There's a lot of people that look sketchy in this situation. And unfortunately, Richard Allen, or maybe fortunately if it was him, Richard Allen, is already in prison. And I don't see this being investigated anymore. That's just me, though. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about before we get into this. This is going to bring something in that's happened recently in the community, but I'm not going to get into that too much. But I just want to say, so Jules says, it really is important to have a plan, especially as women. It can happen to anyone. I agree with that. I think it is really important. We've talked about doing like some self-defense like conversations here, and maybe no one would even come, but maybe even it could just help a handful of people. I don't know. I really have considered it because I want people to be aware of what happens out there and to be safe. You know, remember that video we talked about? What was her name? Brittany Pearson. Her son, like, got, the cops found him far from home, you know, a couple miles or whatever. And his mom didn't even, they couldn't find him at home. They never called and reported him missing. He was just walking down the main road. And the cops calling. She's like, okay, well, you need to be aware of the dangers of your child being out there like that. I wish people were more aware of what happens, but they're not. And another thing. So recently in, I don't know if I would say this community, but kind of in where this overlaps with like the trauma community, there was a person who has taken advantage of a lot of people that emotionally, mentally, financially. It's disgusting. Just want to say a couple things about that. Number one, the only, and I mean only person to blame is the person who did it. That's really truly how I feel. But besides that, be careful out there, you guys. For real. There are a lot of people that will lie and scam or say and do just about anything to get ahead. Not just people in the chats, creators too. Please be aware. You know, it's one thing to super chat someone or something like that. It's a whole nother thing when someone's asking you privately for money, you know, and just please be cautious and careful and take care of yourselves and help through, if you want to help and give back, do it through trusted places, like even in your own community, things like that. I just don't think people are aware. Like, there's a lot of good people that want to help other people in need. And I think a lot of people are naive to how often it happens. Listen, I can, in my head, put together even several creators, you know, who I believe ask too much and might not be honest. It's just the truth. That's the way of the world. Protect yourselves and your wallets and your personal information, especially, because it's not just asking for money. Some people might ask for your personal information and hack your ass, get into your social security. I don't know. Just be careful. Be cautious. Don't trust people like that. This is not a place to trust people like that. And that's all I got to say about it. Yeah, Julie, it'd be scary as hell to run across that bridge. There's also footage of Richard Allen wearing the similar style and coloring of clothes. Obviously, it's blurry, but the footage of Ron Logan looks scarily familiar to Bridge Guy. And Richard Allen has a jacket like he had on, right? So that too. We don't know what the jury saw because they could have seen or discussed things in the evidence not stated in trial. Well, this is why I think that they need to be more transparent. Just like with Idaho, when you keep stuff out, when you're not telling the public everything, they're going to connect dots that might not connect, that aren't supposed to connect. I hear it in this video. Which one, the gun or Ron confessed and Richard Allen confessed, and an Elvis guy apparently confessed to his sister, right? I didn't know that. Ron did. Just trying to get to the bottom. Yeah, absolutely, NorCal. Treat YouTube like watching out for pickpockets in a large metro area. Always someone scoping for a victim. Yep. And yeah. People that want to do that, they are skilled. They know the people to victimize. They know. They can spot it from a mile away. Okay, so now Elvis confessed and said his DNA and spit would be found on the bodies. Yeah, Amber, I just heard about that. Okay, sorry. I'm all congested and I don't want to be hacking and stuff in y'all's ear. All right, so now I want to talk about a few things that maybe you have seen, maybe you haven't. So first, let's talk about this. This was in Florida. This man literally chased down another car, okay, thinking his girlfriend was in it and was like harassing the car and ran it off the road where this concrete thing, I think, fell on it. And person thinking his girlfriend was in the car, but she wasn't. And the actual girl that was in the car passed away and her boyfriend is very seriously injured. So let's start with that. So Florida man charged with murder after causing fatal crash with car he thought was ex-girlfriend. A Florida man has been charged with first-degree murder after he forced a car he was chasing into a crash that killed the vehicle's passenger. Kyle Hill thought he was chasing a car carrying his ex-girlfriend when he aggressively chased and harassed the vehicle for several blocks Sunday night, eventually forcing the car off the road and into a concrete pole that fell and crushed the car. Arislini Blanco Medina was killed and the driver of the car, her boyfriend, was seriously injured. Hill also lost control of his car and crashed into a tree in the median. His blood alcohol level was more than twice the legal limit. How scary for these people. You know, they're like, who the hell are you? Anything that starts with Florida man. NorCal. I know, Jamie. Cozy Pixies. St. Petersburg police said the incident began just before 8 p.m. Sunday when Hill and his ex-girlfriend argued and she left in a friend's vehicle. Hill hopped into the Nissan SUV and went to find her. He spotted a Honda he thought was the car she was in, called her and threatened her, and began pursuing the Honda. The Honda, however, carried Blanco Medina and Figueroa Campos, recent Cuban immigrants who were on their way to Walmart. Hill was initially charged with DUI manslaughter and vehicular homicide, but the charges were upgraded to first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder on Wednesday. I'm sorry, but I'm glad they upped the charges. Look, you chased that car down thinking she was in there and did this on purpose, ran them off the road. Sure, he couldn't have known that the concrete pole, what was it? A concrete pole fell and crushed the car. He couldn't have known that would happen, but still, I'm glad he was charged with it. Okay, now, I've got two more. This one, and I read these over fast, but I know we talked about this at another time because I recognize a picture, and I don't think that Crime Online is going to show it. We'll play this little video they have in it, and we'll see. Okay, so sex offender named in 5 CPS reports before he impregnated and killed a 13-year-old girl. Now, this is Naiah Harris. Do you guys remember talking about that? A trial date was set last week for a man charged with impregnating and murdering a 13-year-old girl who vanished last year and was never found. The local news reported his trial is scheduled for October. He's charged with raping Naiah, who vanished from a bus stop in January 2024. But allegedly started to groom her in June of 2022, and officials believe he killed her after impregnating her in September. He is the father of one of her cousins, and he has a conviction for third-degree criminal sexual conduct involving a child. And he spent 7 years in prison in that case. Now, look. Sorry, I had to cough. I'm about, this just goes all through me, and this is when I start getting pissed. See, Natasha, you are right there with me. I'm sorry. But what the hell, when you see that somebody has charges for something like this, touch it. Listen, if someone is willing to touch a child, like that in a sexual manner at all in any way. I'm sorry, they can't be fixed. Fucking throw them away. I don't give a damn. And I swear I think I would feel that way. I can't say for certain. You don't know until you're there. But even if it was like one of my family members, like a brother or something, I just do not believe that that can be fixed. And unless you ship them all off to like an island they can't escape, what do you do? I just don't like when they get let out and they do something else, usually much worse, but similar to what they had done initially. I'm sick of it. Let me pull up a picture. Naiah. So remember here, this is Naiah here in the classroom, and this is Butts here in the top right. Just so you guys have an idea what they look like. Okay, so let's go back to this. In addition to killing and raping Harris, he is charged sexually abusing 2 other girls. Prosecutors said he assaulted an 8-year-old family member and oh my fucking God, you guys listen to this. Transmitted chlamydia to his girlfriend's 4-year-old. Prosecutors believe Butts killed Harris because he did not want her having his child while he was in custody for an unrelated gun case. He was expected to turn himself in the same day that she vanished. Rainbow. The same day that she vanished, but the date was pushed back to February 2024. Harris allegedly so he is supposed to turn himself in, and on that day, she goes missing. Harris allegedly informed Butts in September that she missed her menstrual cycle, even though a pregnancy test came back negative. Prosecutors claimed they uncovered text messages in which Harris expressed concern about her pregnancy being discovered. She said, this is what she said, "I don't know what's your problem, but I need you to bring me what I need tonight. It's hard doing all this gym shit with this baby, and if I don't do them, I'm going to get an F," she reportedly told him in November. Before her presumed slaying, Butts allegedly searched online about abortions, abortion pills, and drinking antifreeze. Text messages suggested Butts told Harris he would pick her up from school on January 9th, 2024, the last day she was seen alive. He was traced to the Rouge River in Detroit a day after her disappearance, and a single shoe belonging to Harris was found at the river. The police department sergeant Melanie O'Rourke said Harris's school identification card was found in the area where Butts' phone was traced between January 10th and the 11th. Her clothes were also discovered in the vicinity, with a U.S. Border Patrol agent alleging that a black hoodie had both of their blood on it. There is a lot of evidence. So her clothes they tracked him to this river where her shoes and clothes were found. Apparently, it's alleged that there was a hoodie with both of their blood on it. We've got text messages that he was picking her up from school that day. Yeah, I know. What in the hell gives anyone the right to think it's acceptable to touch a child with the nasty intentions? And giving a fucking 4-year-old a sexually transmitted disease? I'm sorry. But my question is, let me play this video because I'm confused. Was this just found out, or did he sexually abuse an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old and give the 4-year-old chlamydia and then get out of prison to go on and kill this little girl? Fuck that. I'm sick of this. I am so sick of it. Oh, here. Let's see. This is some bullshit.
Right now, Jarvis Butts is awaiting trial for the murder and sexual abuse of Naiah.
Just 1 second. I just want to say thank you, Gidget, for gifting 5 memberships, and welcome to the members. That was super sweet. Thank you. It is infuriated. Yes, that was nice. Okay. Now let's hear this.
Naiah Harris.
Can y'all
After
hear it?
listening to days of testimony last month, a judge called Butts a monster and said that
Hell yeah.
opportunities to protect the 13-year-old girl were missed. Tonight, the 7 investigators are revealing years of warnings that preceded Butts' alleged.
Okay, so yeah, it was years. With the article, it just didn't make it clear for me. Thank you, Justin. Hey, Reinventing Daily. Thank you guys for being here. You don't know how much I appreciate it, especially those of you who stay when we're getting into topics that aren't that well known. But I'm sorry, this should be, right? You have the same channels talking about the same bullshit every fucking day. Every single day after day after day. And shit like this is going on out in the world. And I just think it should be talked about more. It's infuriating. Sorry, I'm on one. I get upset, but when you think about these little kids and years, every time I do a true crime news, I swear we talk about somebody that's had, or in many cases, that's had all these signs and heard all these little kids and shit, or all these people, and then they get out and they're able to do it again. Something has to change. Thank you, Jules. I had not heard about this until now. Your voice is therapy and love the curse words. Thank you, Jamie. Well, I'm glad you're here, Jamie, and I've missed you. I'm glad to be seeing you more. Okay. Yeah, this isn't an 18-year-old in trouble for sleeping with their 15-year-old girlfriend. I agree. It is BS, Amber. I agree. All right, let's hear this.
Crimes.
Warnings that family members say were made to Children's Protective Services that could have saved Naiah's life. Here's what 7 investigator Ross Jones has uncovered.
You look at that face and you do not see the horrors that she had gone through in her short life. The exploitation, the molestations, the sexual abuse, and the pregnancy that she was concealing.
Years before Jarvis Butts would be charged by Wayne County's prosecutor, accused of killing and sexually abusing 13-year-old Naiah Harris.
Look how pretty and just young and just freaking sad. Selena, thank you. Thank you for gifting. And welcome to the members. That was sweet, Selena. Very generous. Thank you. DB, thank you. Like I said, that's sweet too. Rocco, it's ridiculous, especially when there's no new information. Y'all know why they do it, and it's not for the child. It is ridiculous. I agree. Hey, Harley. Good to see you.
Harris's own relatives say they saw the warning signs and told anyone who would listen.
So that at that point, I was like, this is too much. I'm calling CPS.
I tried not just once, but multiple times for them to take me serious in what I was saying.
Kiwana Morton and her cousin Jernell are both relatives of Naiah Harris. In February of 2022, Jernell says she learned of allegations of improper touching involving Butts and other small children. She says she was told about the claims while talking to her niece, Jarvis Butts' girlfriend, and that the alleged victims were Naiah Harris and 2 other children.
I was just like, oh my God, I was not crazy.
So were the 2 other children like simultaneous with Naiah? I'm really curious to know that. And I don't know, it just hurts your heart and soul when you hear this has been reported to CPS multiple times. The whole system needs to be redone. It's just it's not working. I know that's a hard task.
She says she took the claim seriously in part because Butts was on the sex offender registry, having spent more than 8 years in prison for 3rd-degree criminal sexual conduct. She didn't alert authorities at first because she believed her niece would notify police. But weeks later, Jernell did notify Child Protective Services. Her complaint came in on April 13th, 2022. There was an incident at a birthday party, the complaint reads. One of the children that attended the party accused Jarvis of sexual abuse.
Oh my gosh.
Naiah, and name withheld, reported that Jarvis touched both of them inappropriately as well. Jarvis touched, name withheld.
Oh my gosh. Hold on, you guys.
Her complaint came in on April 13th, 2022. There was an incident at a birthday party, the complaint reads. One of the children that attended the party accused Jarvis of sexual abuse. Naiah, and name withheld, reported that Jarvis touched both of them inappropriately as well. Jarvis touched name withheld in her private area, and it hurt.
In 2022, April 2022.
Jernell made the complaint over the phone.
They basically told me if they needed me for anything else, they would reach out.
The next day, Jernell would receive a text from her niece, Butt's girlfriend, confirming that CPS had contacted her. CPS called me, the text reads. They called about the well-being of my kids. Then they called back to get Jarvis info. A CPS spokeswoman would not tell 7 News Detroit if investigators ever questioned Naiah Harris after receiving the complaint.
Oh my gosh. Look, I know things like that, like things, CPS in every state. There's a lot of kids in this country, a lot of families in the United States. Of course, from time to time, something might fall through the cracks, but this shouldn't. This should have never. And honestly, even one case falling through the cracks and is too many. But we know that it's far more than that. That's just the truth. Every single Harmony Montgomery, CPS was contacted many times. They literally watched her get in the car with her dad who murdered her, and he drove off real fast because CPS was there, and they didn't. Oh, I don't know. Is that not a red flag? He's trying to not let her be seen because she has black eyes. I'm sorry, but they failed tons of times. I could sit here and name so many cases where they were involved and the child ended up dead. Something's got to give.
But we do know it wasn't the only complaint filed with CPS naming Jarvis Butts.
And it wasn't easy for me to call Protective Services just because of the horror stories that you hear.
Yeah.
Tawana Morton said she heard about the same allegations against Butts from a conversation with his girlfriend.
Yes.
2 months after her cousins called to CPS, she would file her own complaint.
I told them that there's a problem and they need to be aware of it. I am 90% sure that there's sexual abuse going on within the home.
Did you specifically mention Jarvis by name?
Yes, absolutely.
Internal CPS records we obtained show that investigators looked into that complaint, conducting a face-to-face interview with Butts, who strongly denied the allegation.
Based on the investigative findings, there is not a preponderance of evidence to support the allegation of sexual abuse. Not multiple kids coming forward and telling you. Like, that's just bullshit. What kind of fucking evidence do you need? Okay. Face-to-face interviews were conducted with both parents. According to Mr. Butts, he has not seen the children he has with blank in months. He stated he's not sexually abused any of his children in any way. He stated it's blank. Someone would say that about him. He stated it doesn't look good either that when you look him up, he was convicted of a sex crime. However, that was 20 years ago. According to Redacted, was shocked at the allegations, and this was all new to her. Blank stated her 3 oldest children ask for their father all the time, and he will come over every time they call him. Blank stated she and Mr. Butts have an open visitation policy. Blank stated Blank has never came to her with any accusations against her father, and neither have any other children. MDHHS sent a LEN to the Wayne County prosecutor and Detroit police. They completed a referral to Kids Talk for Blank, and Blank was forensically interviewed. There were no disclosures. A home assessment was completed. The home was clean, had working utilities, an adequate supply of food, and was free of any observed safety concerns. The safety plan was not created due to Mr. Butts not agreeing to be separated from his children. The case will be denied as a Category 4 with a low risk level. Multiple people reported, multiple children reported, multiple adults and multiple children, and it's a low risk. Get out of here. That's some
A forensic
bullshit.
interview was conducted with the
I'm
alleged
sorry.
victim, and no disclosures were made. CPS said the home was clean and free of observed safety concerns.
Hey, Aries.
The allegation was denied, assigned a low risk level. These are 2 complaints of at least 5 filed with CPS since 2015, naming Jarvis Butts. They allege concerns about possible molestation, physical abuse, or living conditions, assigned a low risk level. These are 2 complaints of at least 5 filed with CPS.
2 complaints of at least 5. In the 5, we have 1 sexual abuse, improper supervision, threatened harm, threatened harm, threatened harm.
The allegation was denied, assigned a low risk level.
How are they getting
These
the
are 2
reports? I'm curious of that. So we have the other one here. There was blank is the mother of blank. Jarvis is the father of blank and lives outside the home. Naiah is the niece of blank and lives outside the home. There was an incident at a birthday party. One of the children that attended the party accused Jarvis of sexual abuse. Naiah and blank reported that Jarvis touched both of them inappropriately as well. Jarvis touched blank in her private area and it hurt. This was never reported. Jarvis is a sex offender and a felon. Blank is sending pictures of himself on Instagram. Blank was asked to send a picture of her privates and to play with her privates for the person on the phone. Blank instead of talking with her and reporting the information to law enforcement. This is something I want to dig into deeper. I would love to do like a few lives or at least one going through all the actual information. I want to follow this until the end, until his trial. This is bullshit. I would love to see this being talked about on 20 different channels every day.
Complaints of at least 5 filed with CPS since 2015 naming Jarvis Butts. They allege concerns about possible molestation, physical abuse, or living conditions. Some of the complaints are generic, and none would ultimately substantiate that Butts was improperly touching children. Just over a year after the last complaint on record, Butts would be charged with sexually assaulting and murdering Naiah.
And getting her pregnant. Who, Natasha? AS? Who is that? She was very obviously pregnant, although everyone pretended not to know. Hey, Madeline. And I have to agree. Hey, West Virginia, holla girl. Somebody came in. Madeline, we've talked about all kinds of things. Solo angel mom, Mr. Butts, left my ass off, asshole from birth. Nikki makes a great point about Idaho. You know what? I don't even want to talk about that case anymore, but I do because I want to follow. I'm very interested. I can't even watch the chats watching my own best friend cover it, but Nikki says it's a 3-month trial. How can they say it's not going to be more than what's in the PCA? Right. Exactly. Thank you. Excellent point. I mean, use your brains. Not you guys in the chat. I know everybody who's still here now, especially, understands that. But come on, dude. People are just, sorry. Allegedly. Okay. Thank you, Natasha. You are a pointer lover? Do it. I would love that. That would be awesome to see. I wish I was closer. Because I'd go with you. 15 minutes from Pointer Lover. Do you think it's getting a lot of coverage near you, Pointer Lover? And if you see anything like especially important, like any major thing that you wouldn't want to miss if you were following this, will you send it to me? I'm going to do like some digging and grab as many different resources, court documents, all the things I can find, and do something like a live just on this or a video maybe. But if you see anything that, you know, like I said, you wouldn't want to miss, send it to me. Pretty please. Oh my gosh, Harley. I know that was stressful because Bentley was in the NICU for a while before I could get him too, because he was born 8 weeks early. And I had several blood transfusions, almost passed away. They weren't wanting me to walk down there. And by like the end of day 2, I was like, no, someone is going to take me to my baby before I start breaking shit, because I had not seen him at all. I didn't get to see him at all because I was completely unconscious. Hold on. Sorry about that, you guys. Okay. The last thing I want to talk to you about while we're still here, I had pulled this up. Did you guys see that kid who killed his parents and lived with them for like weeks before he was caught. No one polices CPS. Well, there's a creator on here. Is it? I think it's down. It is Down the Rabbit Hole News, and she's great. She covers all kinds of different stuff. But she used to work for CPS, and she was talking about, you know, how people will always say it needs an overhaul. You need to have some kind of system to connect state to state with information. And she explained, like, a lot of people have tried to do that within CPS. Even there are a lot of good people that work for CPS and a lot of lazy ones, apparently, or maybe they're overworked. But people have tried to do that, but it's really difficult because you have privacy laws and things like that. It's hard, and no one has found the answer yet, I guess, to actually do it effectively. But I was unconscious and I hadn't seen Bentley because of that. And then I needed the 2 blood transfusions and that was so stressful. I'm sorry, Harley. No one believed me until I had a friend back up my story. I thought I was going crazy. I know one night I thought I had a dream I was essayed, but when I woke up, I had no clothes on, and I was in denial for so long about it until a friend said, oh my gosh, Nikki, I am so sorry. And no one believed me. See, that's bullshit. Until I had a friend back up my story. Just like what we just talked about. You're not going to believe kids, multiple kids who come forward. Why? What do you need? In sexual assault, when someone is raped, I know that people don't want to use the actual words for what we're talking about on here these days, but I'm not going to do that. So I apologize if it sounds harsh, but when someone is raped, a lot of times there is no fucking evidence. Let's be real. There's not. And they don't do it in front of people, you know, unless somebody walks in or something like that. I don't know. I understand, like, not just believing any and everybody for every claim they make, but 2 children, nah, that's a problem. That's a freaking problem. And Nikki, I'm sorry. J. Rose says, worked for CPS for years. The higher levels are highly political. Are you telling me every single med you have been prescribed in the last 25 years can be tracked, but children in the system can't be tracked from state to state? Yep, absolutely. Kimberly, it's crazy. All right, so let's talk about this just quickly, and I'm going to let y'all go. But thank you for being here, and sorry for my rants and shit, but it's just... Ugh. Okay. Oregon man pleads guilty to killing friend who threw sandwich at his car, trying to kill witness. So an Oregon man was sentenced to 34 years in prison this week after he pleaded guilty to gunning down a man who threw a sandwich at his car and then tried to kill the only witness to the murder. Jacob Fitzgerald, 24, pleaded guilty to manslaughter, attempted first-degree murder, first and second-degree assault, burglary, and robbery in 3 separate cases, beginning with the August 6, 2022 slaying of his friend Otis Abner. I know I've covered a case from here before and had to learn how to say that, and I cannot say it. I'm sorry, but the DA's office said. According to the DA's office, Fitzgerald, his girlfriend at the time, and Abner were in a car when the 2 men began arguing. Fitzgerald stopped the car and ordered Abner out and then started to drive away. But when Abner threw a sandwich and hit Fitzgerald's car, he stopped the vehicle and fired multiple shots at his friend, killing him. Then he drove away and burned the vehicle. Police were called to the scene and found 7 empty shell casings and collected surveillance footage from several businesses. It's not clear, however, why he was free 18 months later on February 11th of last year when he went to his now ex-girlfriend's home where she was living with her new boyfriend and fired multiple shots at the trailer, striking her in the face and the arm, trying to get rid of the witness to his crime. He's a dangerous man who left a trail of destruction over the last few years. This is an unusually high sentence for a plea agreement, but is just given the circumstances. Now, this is crazy because 34 years for taking someone's life and trying to take someone else's, shooting them in the face and arm. So 2 days prior to that attack, the Oregonian said the girlfriend, identified as, we'll call her Ryan, called police and said Fitzgerald was hunting her. Then on the 11th, Fitzgerald and his sister Joanna came to the trailer where she lived and forced the door open while Smith desperately called 911. Ryan desperately called 911. Fitzgerald opened fire and again fled with his sister. She was taken to the hospital and survived her injuries. Fitzgerald and his sister were arrested more than a month after the incident. Joanna was charged with attempted murder, unlawful use of a weapon, menacing, and burglary. So the guilty plea includes an armed robbery that happened before this. So yeah, he literally is arguing with a friend, makes him get out of the car, goes to drive off, and the friend's like, no, and throws a sandwich at his car. And he's like, oh, hell no. That's a reason to shoot somebody and kill him. And then gets out of jail and has broken up with the girl that was with him at the time and goes to her house and shoots her, almost kills her. And they give him 34 years. This annoys me because it's like, no, he deserved life in prison without the possibility of parole. Okay. Very easily could have been 2 people. And I get it. A trial costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of time and effort. But isn't it worth it? Like, because if you have the evidence, if you have a witness, if you have him trying to take the witness's life, isn't it worth it to do the trial and get a life sentence? I don't know. I'm not satisfied with the verdict or with the plea, but hey, Deco. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. All right, you guys. I know I've been in a place where I was terrified and calling someone and not answering and making a bunch of typos, right? Like Dylan was. Thank you for being here and listening to me. Sorry for the rants. I promise tomorrow or the next time I'm live, it won't be like this. It'll be just about whatever we're talking about. And I won't go off and yell and scream and hit shit and cuss because that's becoming like a regular thing here. And I don't want that. So I apologize, you guys. But I do know tonight, you know it, Dororo. Hey, Lunch Lady, thank you for being a member for 19 months. I do know tonight that I'm going to be on Melissa's to talk more about the case against Casey Anthony. And we're getting into the video visits with her family and stuff. And I cannot wait to watch their body language and listen to those. I've never seen them before. So I hope you guys will come over there. I'll share it on the community tab. And then maybe tomorrow or within the next few days, we'll be over here to talk about that as well. So yeah, I look forward to that. And I'm sorry that I straight up just like stop mid-sentence and go to like just now what I did. And I said, hey, Lunch Lady, thank you. Because when I'm watching someone, I realize that annoys me. Like finish your sentence before you start something else. And here I am doing it. So I'm self-aware at least, and I apologize. I'll try to do better. But, oh, thank you, Chris. Well, I appreciate that because it's hard to hold it in. All right, you guys. You're saying what most of us are thinking. Thank you, guys. Spicy Allie. Thank you, Allie, and the best mods. Hope y'all have a good night. And come see us at MJ's. We will be over there in about an hour and 45 minutes. So, yeah, I hope to see you guys there. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the chatters. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And especially, like I said, when it's things that you might not already know about, like just spending your time, taking the time to listen. I don't know. It really does mean a lot to me. So thank you. And you guys have a good night and I'll see you in a little bit. Bye.